Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining. This is the Oracle Autonomous Database Learning Lounge. I am Marcos Aracibia, part of the product management team for Autonomous Database. And today we're going to have a very, very interesting session. We're going to have a part 2 of our migration sessions. Today we're going to be talking about the OCI DMS. So that is the data migration service. So today we're going to have Jorge Martinez. He's going to explain to us how the OCI DMS is actually a fully managed service and provides all of these high-performing self-service experience for migrating data into OCI, right? And you're going to learn how it uses zero downtime migration engine behind the scenes, and also has a lot of capabilities, right? That uses Datapump and Goldengate as well, right? And it's all automated and into the service. And you're going to see how to easily migrate data from on-premises Oracle databases, third-party clouds, Amazon RDS, right, into Autonomous Database in a very easy way. Okay. So throughout the session today, we're going to have a Q&A. Please type your questions in the Q&A section in Zoom. We're going to actually distribute links to you guys using chat. Okay. So keep an eye on the chat for all the different links, including this one, which is a link to our Learning Lounge series where you can watch previous recordings. You can see the recording of this current session. You're going to be able to see the links to slides and also to register yourself so that you don't miss any of the sessions. All right. Speaking of links, I'm putting these links right now in chat for you guys. So you should see them in chat. Basically, these are links that take you to the basics on Autonomous Database, our main page, our social media connections there, but also places where you can ask your questions. You can do that in Stack Overflow and also the developers Slack. Okay, so Oracle Developers has a workspace in Slack, and in this address you can just register yourself for free. And then you can type your question in there or watch and understand, new upcoming sessions as well, announcements of different kinds that we do there. All right. Okay. Next sessions we have upcoming on this Thursday. We have Melly. She's going to be talking about graph RAG. So that's going to be a very, very interesting session on bringing the power of graphs, right, to generative AI. So this is this Thursday, November 21st. Then next week, we're going to be doing that graph RAG session on Tuesday in Spanish. And we're going to do the migration part 1 session that we did last week in Portuguese. And we're not going to have any English sessions because it's Thanksgiving week. So it's going to be harder to get people thinking something else other than turkey, right? So the week after that, then in December, we're going to actually repeat this session with Jorge Martinez in Spanish. That's going to be our migration part 2. Okay. And we keep, we're having more and more sessions in December as well. So I'll be, again, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss anyone. All right. All right, guys. Excellent. So I think a lot of you guys are going to definitely benefit from the session. And thank you, Jorge, for joining us today and doing the session for us. I think you're going to find a very captive audience there because the majority of people, more than 67% here, have no experience with it. So thank you very much again for joining. You can start sharing your screen and your video and take it away. And thank you.
All right. So thanks for that, Marco. So let me start with this. So I'm going to walk you through, guys, about the OCI database migration. And I want to share with you first what we are going to be discussing in this session. So I'm going to try to discuss what is the use case that OCI Database Migration is trying to address. Also, some of the language that we use on the migration so that this session can be understood very well. I'm also going to discuss or show you what is behind OCI Database Migration, the technologies that are helping us to be successful. And also, I want to discuss a little bit on the customer journey while doing the migration. And we can close with a walkthrough and, of course, a demo. So let me start with this session. In this slide, I have just included a few resources. You can review those later, but there is a demo, live lab, and step by step. The use case that OCI Database Migration is trying to address is basically sometimes we get this request from the company, or it's just like our technology is too old, so we don't have support. So we want to migrate our database from maybe on-prem, which is the most used use case, into the cloud. So normally what we have is a lack of the skill set, or we don't know the different tools that are out there. Maybe our company is having a transaction which is super intense in the transaction, and we cannot really afford a downtime, and the rest, which is complexity, cost, latency. So what we are trying to help here is with the learning curve, making shorter. And also we are having the service on top of existing migration tools, but we are giving like a user interface, which is going to make easier the process. Here in this slide, you can see our main use case is, of course, moving to autonomous database, but we also have other targets. It can be base database or Exadata. You can see a heat wave because recently we also add support for MySQL to heat wave. I'm not going to go very deep into this, but just FYI. So the service is supporting at the moment MySQL to MySQL and Oracle to Oracle only. Okay. What are the benefits? Of course, moving to OCI, you have fast time to market. You have auto repair, self-tuning, cost saving. So those are the benefits. So let me move ahead. All right. So I mentioned a little bit about the service, how we can reduce costs and improve performance in the cloud, of course. But the service is free for 6 months, so there is no charge. I'm gonna go deeper into what is free in next slides. And like I mentioned before, our core use case is basically help the user with a machine-assisted service to do migrations to Oracle and MySQL into the OCI. And what is differentiating the service? We are basically simplifying what we have behind the scenes, the technologies and the resources. We offer logical migrations online and offline. And of course, being logical, you can pick and choose. So we can migrate part of the database or decide what is going to be migrated. Now, let me discuss a little bit what's behind the tool. In the left-hand side, you can see a pyramid. This is for Oracle databases. So basically, we have ZDM or Zero Downtime Migration orchestrating the migration. And we have also Cloud Pre-Migration Advisor. ZDM is basically orchestrating Datapump behind the scenes. This is for the initial load. But when we have, or the user has the requirement to do an online migration, we are basically using Goldengate to go for the change data capture. So all the delta of the transactions after the initial load is captured with the help of Goldengate. On the right-hand side, you can see that this is for MySQL. We have MySQL shell, which is taking care of the orchestration, and also the pre-migration advisor, which is an implementation of the MySQL shell advisor. At the bottom, you can see also Goldengate, which is taking care of the deltas, like in Oracle. And on top of that, you have what DMS has done. So you can see a user interface, which the user basically needs to go press a button and progressing through the workflow. But the experience is the same. It's just the technology changes behind the scenes. Okay. So I also want to clarify what are the terms that we use for, on DMS at least, for the migrations. Many of you have not been maybe involved into migration. So an offline migration is a one-time copy of the database, meaning this requires your application to be offline during the migration because Datapump is working behind the scenes with an export and an import. On the other side, we have the migration online. This is the same as the offline migration because it's going to do an initial copy with Datapump, but your application can remain online. with the help of Goldengate, we can keep transacting and it's going to be replicated to the target. So these are the main difference between online and offline. Also, discussing about physical migrations, I want to make sure that I highlight this. This is not available in DMS at the moment. A physical migration is basically a block-wise copy of the source database. It has some limitations, of course, because it requires the same vendors and versions to be compatible on the source and the target for the migration. You cannot do filtering or transformation, or requires more steps to do that. And some of the tools that you might have heard is RMAN, DataGuard, and ZDM. On the other side, we have the logical migration, which is supported. So basically, we have the source and the target, and it's an interpretation. The contents are copied to the target format. So you can have a source which is different to the target and still complete the migration with no issue. And also you can pick and choose and maybe just migrate half of or some schemas or whatever type of object you want to select, but you don't need to do a complete. And the tools are, for Oracle, Datapump, Goldengate, and ZDM, and I mentioned MySQL Shell and Gold. Now, with regards to the connection, the majority of our use cases are basically direct connection. This means the source can be reached by the service, and normally the users are connecting through VPN or Fast Connect. Okay, but we have some other scenarios or use cases where maybe the source is behind the firewall. So for those scenarios, we have an agent which is an on-prem extract of the DMS, and it's going to try to connect offline. This is only for offline migrations, but and this is very infrequent, to be honest, the indirect connection. But just wanted to make sure that this is also discussed and this is also supported by the service. Okay, so I want to discuss at a super high level what is the database migration customer journey, and how Oracle is also providing some other tools to help the customer to take the best decision. We have in the first box profile state. Normally, the users, when they are having more than one database, they want to understand or know which is the easiest of those databases to start the migration with. So Oracle State Explorer can help you with that. So you require to go with your sales rep or the Oracle representative, and he's going to have access to that tool. But once you have decided which is your easiest database to start the migration with, you can move to the different migration methods. We have many. Oracle has many. And like I said, they can be hybrid methods, physical methods, logical methods. But this kind of method can help you to select the right tool. Migration Method Advisor and Cloud Migration Advisor, you can just go to those sites and enter the required source and target, and it's going to suggest you which are the methods that you can use for your migration. So in green, we have what DMS is really providing the functionality. So once you have the method, and let's say that it is DMS, so you can jump into the green boxes. The preparation is very important. And one of the phases for DMS is to invoke the CPAT functionality. CPAT is basically a pre-migration advisor, which is going to do an analysis on the source, and it's going to see what are the incompatibilities objects with the target, and it's going to give you advices. Sometimes it's going to give you also a script so that you can take action and resolve those incompatibilities. Once you have that incompatibility issues solved, then you can move to the execution. DMS is also taking care of the export and import, and also replicating everything to the target. When the migration is completed, there are other tools like Veridata, Goldengate. This is used for the validation. This is going to do a byte by byte validation on your completion of the migration that you have just completed. The blue boxes are outside of the product. I just want to highlight that. And we are going to discuss more about the green boxes. So also it's very important to mention what is supported and what is a source and target. These are the sources in terms of operating systems that are supported. We have Solaris, IIX, and Linux. And in terms of sources, you can have your Oracle on-prem and also can have on different multi-cloud vendors. Oracle is, of course, we can do migration from OCI to OCI. Amazon also, we specifically support RDS. And also we have Azure and cloud where you can have maybe virtual machines and you are running there your workloads. The migration can be also a container, and maybe you want to move it to a non-container database. The minimum version that we support is 11.204, and we can migrate all the way through 21C. We are in the process to validate 23 AI. So this is how this is why this is not listed here. But you can also migrate cross-version, and also cross-endian is not a problem because this is a logical migration. On the right-hand side, we have the supported targets. We have autonomous, base database, and Exadata. Currently, we don't support Exadata Cloud at customer. That's the only OCI target that we don't support. Now, with regards to the migration steps, it's very important just to mention some of the prerequisites. So the user needs to set up their VPN or fast connect. This is how they're gonna be accessed. Basically, the service is gonna access to their databases. And also they need to provision their target. We don't, or the service doesn't provision the target. The user also needs to take care of the object store where the DOM files are going to be put, and also the vault. The vault is used just to keep the secrets on the user tenancy. And of course, we have some previous steps. We have some tools to help the user to configure the source and the target. And for online migration, this is optional, but the user can also deploy their own marketplace, their own Goldengate marketplace. The service has an option which is totally managed, but for specific use cases, this is also supported. Number two is you need to create connections on the service. And after that, you need to create the migration object, which is gonna also call out the connection that you create. I mentioned before, the first of the steps is to discover anything which is incompatible and try to let the user know how to resolve everything. The number 4 is the actual migration, which is fully automated. Depending on the different decisions, you can also do restart, or you can also do pauses during the migration. And this is basically the initial load and learn replication. And once this is done, the migration is almost done. Number 5 is a point in the migration where you decide to move from the source to the target. This is the switchover database migration where you change to the new database, basically. So at a high level, these are the steps.
Sorry, we have plenty of questions now, so I just wanted to make sure that we could run through them. But for example, if a customer is looking to move from on-premise to Exadata on Azure,
yes,
is that something that you guys do?
Yes, we have a slide in the next slides. I'm going to talk about that. The user needs to complete a few prerequisites, but once that is done, the service is able to also do a connection to Oracle Azure.
Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And someone also asking if they could migrate a Microsoft SQL Server database on Azure to Autonomous Database.
Not for the moment with this service because this is not supported. So for the moment, you can do MySQL to HeatWave only, and also Oracle to Oracle OCI.
All right, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me go to the next slide. Okay, at a high level, what I just discussed before is reflected here. So we have the sources on the left. It can be on-premise, only Oracle for the moment. And of course, I mean, MySQL, but for the moment, Oracle. They can also be on other cloud service providers as maybe they are running on VMs, and they can also be on OCI. I mean, base database, Exadata, or Exadata at customer. Those can be sources. Okay, so the service is going to do the connections and do the pre-migration advisor. And we have two boxes because I try to make a point about offline migrations and online migrations. For the online migration is where you use Goldengate, but for the offline, you can even have different intermediate storage. We can use object storage or FSS, which is file service. And you can also have the option to do a migration with DB-Link. So at the end, the targets that we support, I mentioned before, autonomous, Exadata, and base database. But I was also mentioning to Marcos that Azure is also into the picture now. We have done some certification. So Exadata, database service, and also autonomous, which are the two offerings at the moment, are available. I'm going to highlight just in a moment which are the steps required. But now let me jump super quickly to the pricing. I mentioned this is free, so I want to make sure that I highlight here what is free. So the infrastructure or the service where this runs is completely free. If you have the scenario where you need to download the on-premise agent, that is also included. And there is a Goldengate license that is also giving the user free usage if it is used with online. So there is no extra cost for Goldengate, even if it is a marketplace. But what is not included is anything which is a customer managed resource. We can say, for example, any compute instance that they deploy for marketplace, Goldengate marketplace, or if they have deployed object storage or file storage service, that is not included in the service. Also, in terms of networking, Fast Connect or VPN, and also if you have a source in OCI or a target in OCI, those are not included into this course. It's only the data movement which is included. So we have some exceptions here. After 6 months, if migration is running, there is a cost. To be honest, we don't have customers running migrations that long, so this should be plenty of time for you to complete the migration. And also, if you have a migration which is running for more than 60 days, which is not moving any data, so there is a cost of 20 cents per hour per migration. These costs are only per migration, so you can start a new migration and that's it. So the clock is going to start again.
Jorge, we have a great question exactly on that. Someone asking, what is the average time expected for this kind of migration? I guess it depends on the.
No, I mean, yeah, it's super wide. It's very wide, the question, because you know, with the experience that we have had, it's going to interact. What is the capabilities of the source? What do you have in terms of networking? What is also, of course, the target, the infrastructure, the amount of data that you have. So I think it's super wide. So there's not really a good answer for that. It's depending on your setup, basically.
All right, and then some other question here is in terms of well, they're asking if you have examples on how long it would take. So I guess we can go into that.
Like I said
later.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be the same. It depends a lot on your specific setup. So even if it is, maybe you have a source in OCI, or maybe you have a source in on-prem, or you have maybe a source in RDS. So there are many factors that are going to change that time, basically.
Yeah, I think people got scared when they saw 6 months there. And you,
oh no,
when you had that in that chart.
Yes, we haven't seen migrations run that long, to be honest. But also, I want to highlight the intent of the services, basically small to medium databases. So we are not expecting here to cover also a huge or tremendous big database. So we are going for the medium and small sizes, basically.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. We got more questions, but we're gonna.
Okay, so
another one, last one. That 20 cents per hour migration. Someone asking if that includes the data transfer as well.
yes. I mean, this is for the complete data movement. I mean, it's just not included what I mentioned here, but the service can be used. I mean, the Goldengate can be used. You can keep moving data from A to B, so that is included.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so this slide is always having questions, so thanks for that, Marcos. So let me move ahead. So I mentioned we were discussing this question. If the service supports Oracle Azure, so it does. You have some requirements, some prerequisites. So for those who know, you have to have this private offer acceptance on the marketplace. You need to have the ability, and also you have to have your virtual network with some delegated subnet. This is some of the most important points, and also, of course, a federated SSO. So the federated SSO is going to allow you to go and log into the OCI portal, and you can also register your Oracle Azure database. For example, here we can see an Automos deployed on Azure. And so the user goes to a URL which is pointing to OCI. And you have here your Azure Intra ID, which is supposed to be enabled once you have the federated SSO configuration done. Once you have this, so it's going to be basically the same pattern that you do when you have an OCI database. You go to the database connections and you are able to register your database as if it were, I don't know, on-prem or within OCI. It is transparent for the service once you complete the prerequisites. Okay? So at a high level, let me give a walkthrough how the service looks. So basically, we are on the migration and disaster recovery, database migration, and once you enter to the database migration, you can create the connections. Connection for the source and for the target. This is not very complex screens. Basically, you need to provide the users and the connection details for the source and target. When you have the connections created, then you can come to the create migration and pull those previously created connections. You can see here we create a PDB and also the target is ATP. And then you need to also decide in very few of the options. You can also decide here if you want to use an online migration. It's only a checkbox, that's it. And we have advanced options if the user wants to play more with the service or go more granular. But at a high level, this is what we are exposing to the customer. When you start the migration, the first step is to do the validation. I mentioned CPAT. So here is an example where CPAT is going to fail. This is on purpose because it is determining that there are some objects which are incompatible. So you can see here a list of incompatible objects. It's going to tell you about the different criticality, action required, maybe review required. You don't need to do an action. I mean, it's just FYI and whatever it has passed. On the other side, you can see the links. This is linked to a detail, which is going to tell you, okay, you want to resolve this. I'm going to offer just this solution. You can also exclude the object and move ahead. In this case, the example that I have here, we are running again the CPAT after excluding one of the objects, and now it is completing. This is the expectation. Once we have completed the validation, we are going to the real data movement, which is the migration. And you can see it's going to start doing some export. The export is going to be, it's going to happen on the source. And I'm trying to map on the left-hand side what's happening, and on the right, a one-to-one mapping to the different phases that we have. So again, on the export, we take the dumps. We upload that information. These DOM files are going to be moved to the file storage or object storage, depending on your selection. They import, these DOM files are going to be imported now on the target. And like I mentioned before, Goldengate is going to take care of the delta. Whatever has not been captured on the initial load is going to be replicated by Goldengate until the target. When you are ready, when you have checked that everything is on the target and that you have all what you need from the source, you can decide when you want to do the switchover. Switchover is, like I said before, disconnecting your source application and moving to the new database. And then we have the cleanup, which is gonna do clean up any connections or Goldengate deployments that we have done in the past. So this is at a high level, but I also want to do a live demo so that you can see how is the interaction. Do you have more questions, Marcos, or you want me to go into the demo?
Yes, we have a lot. So let's see if we can tackle a few before your demo, if that is okay.
Yeah. Sounds good.
You want to open up the Q&A there, because there's
let me.
Questions. Someone asking if you have a timeline for 23 AI certification.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a hard line or specific, but I think we are going to have probably maybe a couple of months it should be ready. We are trying to do also the certification for Goldengate 23 AI. So they are going hand by hand. So everything is going to be released at the same time. But we don't have a specific timeline at this moment.
Okay. Now, how does it work in case the database size is quite large? I guess you mentioned a little bit of that, right? If the tool does only Datapump or Goldengate, or Datapump will be slow, maybe Goldengate is complex.
Yes, I mean, I think this question is also having different responses, different answers. Basically, we ask the customers to go to the tool, try to do a proof of concept with some significant sample of the data. If it is quite large, we are sending them to basically maybe to another group to discuss, because even if it is super large, they might be having some other resources issues. So this probably needs to be taken use by case, basically. So there is no 100% straightforward solution. That's what I can say, Marcos, on this one.
Okay, there's another one. Do we need two subscriptions? Yeah, one for Azure and another for OCI to migrate database in Azure to autonomous database in Azure itself?
I think at the moment they need to have a fully functional OCI tenancy. So it's not that they require anything from OCI, but maybe the other services are going to require some credits, maybe object storage, Vault, networking. So they have to have a fully functional OCI in order for the migration service to actually work towards moving Oracle at Azure, basically.
Okay. Another one, can we migrate multiple databases to OCI as a single job?
Yes. Well, to a single job, as a single job using this tool, you can do multiple migrations parallelly. I mean, nothing is stopping you, but migration is really moving A to B at a one job. You cannot do multiple to multiple in one single job, but you can do it like in different migrations, so it's not really that complex.
Okay, and then I think there's a suggestion to get examples of what small to medium mean, right?
Yes. See, medium for us is we have seen migrations of 20 terabytes, which is probably the average we see for the medium sizes in the service. That's what we would consider. Anything which is, I don't know, gigabytes is small for us.
Okay. Another question here is whether DMS has any intermediate server or services that can scale up as required, or is it everything automated? and based on the workload?
Well, in terms of infrastructure behind the service, yes, I mean, it can scale out. So, for example, Goldengate, which is a managed, for the managed service that we have, it can scale out depending on the different characteristics of the source. So it's going to go and check the redo logs and everything. And it's going to do some calculations and it can scale out.
Okay.
Also, in terms of the service, I mean, you can, there are some parallelism that can also be set up so that it can also move data more faster.
Okay. And another one is, what's the benefit of using DMS instead of ZDM with Goldengate?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think this question is very frequent, of course. I mentioned before, I mean, CDM is, of course, behind the scenes. So what they support is what DMS is actually supporting. But for DMS, for example, the companies that are approaching, they don't have all the knowledge about CDM. So we are making this user ready. They don't have to download anything. They don't have to install anything. That's another thing. In our case, you don't need to deploy a Goldengate instance. So that's a click of a button in our side. And we are also trying to expose as many options as CDM is having, but we don't have everything. So we are trying also to make the service flexible in that sense. Whatever is the customer asking, we are trying to bring that into the UI. That I can say. I mean, it's basically those are the benefits. On the other side, I mean, we have the same restrictions that they have. If there is any object incompatibility or if there are other caveats for Datapump or anything, we also have those limitations. But we want to bring the users easier learning curve to start working with the migration on the service.
Okay. Okay. Continuing down a little bit, there's someone asking, can we restart the migration from point of failure? And how much time it would take to migrate 3 terabytes from on-premise?
Yes, I don't have. We don't have statistics on the size, Marco. So I have to defer this one.
Okay, but you can restart the migration from a point of failure.
Yes, but that is very dependent where, in which stage of the migration the service or is failing. If it is normally in the export and import, normally it can be restarted. The service is providing capabilities for that, but it's again, it's case by case depending on how the migration is behaving.
Okay, excellent. Well, which database versions are supported by with this migration method? I think you mentioned that before, right? So it starts in 11.204. Is that it?
Exactly, and then we go all the way to 23. Sorry, 21 at the moment. 23 coming in the future.
Excellent. Is the service available on OCI console?
Yeah,
I think that's it, right? Correct, right? It's in there in OCI.
Yes, exactly. And if you guys are mentioning this OCI console, like if you can invoke Terraform commands or work with the APIs, you can also do that. We have, in fact, customers having bringing their fleet. They are doing everything behind the scenes, playing with the APIs and doing mass migrations. So that's also possible and available.
Okay, that's great. Can we use it for a database consolidation case from on-prem database estate to OCI Exadata cloud service and database cloud service? Yes.
Exactly. Yes. Those are one of the benefits of logical migrations. You can, of course, migrate different databases into one. I mean, that's possible.
Okay. How it compares to ZDM? Yeah, someone asked about that just now. So
yes, and again, I'm going to say, I mean, CDM is, of course, giving you a lot of freedom, but you also need to have some learning curve there.
Right. Exactly. What is the advantage to use it against ZDM and Goldengate? We just spoke about that. Is there a plan to support the Exadata Cloud at customer as target?
Yeah, I mean, there are plans. It's there in the backlog, but of course, we need another Goldengate to be able to be also available on-prem for this scenario. So At the moment, we are also working with Goldengate, but it is not available, and I don't have really an ETA because this is not in the top of the priority for the moment.
Okay. This migration subjobs will follow sequence. We don't have the options to choose. What may happen in case of the virtual, the VLDB with more than 50 terabytes? Yeah. So these are very
well. This is exactly, yeah. I mean, if this is well, to be on to respond to the first one, yes, you need to follow a sequence. That's what we're trying to help the users with, just from 1 to 10, and you cannot really alter that sequence. So we need to go by that, and also VLDB. Yeah, I don't understand that part.
Okay. Export, import, will it work properly? In the case, I think that's...
Yes, like I said, we have... okay.
In the case
the previous case?
On the 50 terabyte, yeah.
Well, exactly. Well, this is one of the scenarios that, or the question that we have had also, Marcos, because CDM and DMS also work with export and import. So the same limitations that the export and import are having, we are also inheriting, as well as CDM. Normally, when the database is big, we need to go and check with the Oracle specialist team and see what can be improved, because sometimes it can also take different strategies. For example, it can be split the database, so you don't need to do one in one shot. But I'm just trying to say we run export and import behind the scenes also.
Right. Okay, another one asking about the CPAT, whether CPAT is going to provide suggestions on a suitable database sizing in Oracle Cloud or Oracle Autonomous Database.
Well, I mean, the sizing, I mean, I think depending on what the target is, you can also select or play with the storage, right, Marcos? But the service is not going to tell you the size of the target, really. So I think it should be basically at least should be more than the source, right? But
Yes.
it's not going to tell you what is going to be the target size, really.
Yes, and
that's probably something that the customer needs to do.
Yeah, we probably can talk about later about CPAT. So we had a session on CPAT specifically, but I probably can bring those sessions back and get that information, which is OCA sizing. We have a tool for sizing databases, and we have CPAT, which actually this tool runs, right? DMS runs some of the CPAT prerequisites for autonomous database.
Exactly.
But yes, okay. Something else here. Okay. Well, if it works on premise to on premise for migration.
No, the targets supported at the moment are OCI only.
Okay. Roadmap to make it available with physical migrations online.
We don't support the physical at the moment, so we have that in the roadmap, but it's not super high in the priorities at the moment.
Okay. Someone wants to compare. I think I'll leave some of these questions for later. Otherwise, we're not going to finish. I'll leave some of these for the Q&A section. So sorry for interrupting you, but please go ahead.
All right. So let me close this one and move to the actual demo that I have. So, okay. So I'm going to be walking you through the demo. This is the landing page of OCI, and it's gonna start navigating through the menu for DMS. Like I said before, this is based on ZDM and Goldengate replication. So we are going to navigate to the migration and disaster recovery and click on the overview. This is going to take us to the main page of the service. And from there, we're going to click on the database connections. The demo is going to show you how an OCI database is going to be migrated into ADB. The source is base database and is also container database. For containers, you need to create a connection for the container and for the PDB. So in this first step, we are going to create the container connection. I mentioned before that those are not super complex steps. You create your vault, you determine the source connection and provide the connecting string in this scenario. Okay, so we are creating here a private endpoint, which is the one that the user, that the service uses to connect or interact with the source. We provide an initial load username. We also have the flexibility to select a different user for the replication. In this scenario, we are going to enter a different user for the replication. And those are the steps. Basically, we click create, and we have the first connection for the container. The service is going to provide a functionality to do a testing. So it's going to test if your source is reachable. In this case, it is successful. If it is not the case, it's going to display or try to guide you what is missing. Okay, so moving ahead, we are creating here the pluggable database connection. We repeat the same steps, select the database type, and also provide the connection details. And again, so we are selecting also private endpoints. The initial load, again, we have the flexibility to use different credentials with regards to the replication, and we create. Okay, so we could have test the connection again. And we are creating now the target connection, which is autonomous database. We select our type and select our database connection. Here we are going to also provide the initial load user, and also we are going to use the ggadmin username, which is included with ADB for the replication. Once we have the required connections, we can move ahead and create our migration. In the migrations, we are going to reuse what we just created during the connections. We give a name. Also, this scenario is for direct connections. So we are selecting here the PDB and the CDB connections that we created before, and select our target connection. And now we have this screen where we can select between the different transfer mediums. Either we can select DB-Link or Datapump or even file storage. And we are going to provide what are the different export directory for the source. So we also complete that. And very important, this is where we select if we want an online migration or not. And that's it. The service is going to create the infrastructure for Goldengate and also your migration. Once the migration is completed, we can start with the validation. Somebody asked, I think on the Q&A, about the user interface from CPAT. So yes, we have that included during the migration, and that's what we are going to see. Again, we are going to go validate the source, the target, and pre-migration advisor is supposed to fail in this scenario because we want to show you how to interact with incompatible objects. You just need to click on the link, and then you see the list of incompatible objects. And here itself, you can do the exclusion, say, hey, yes, I don't need this object. Take it out from my migration and let me continue migrating. So this was very quick, but we are going to run again the validation, and this time there should not be incompatible objects. The service should succeed. And once it succeeds, it's going to allow me to continue with the migration. Okay, so this time we didn't fail on the CPAT. And I think we are ready to move into the real migration, which is pressing this start. So we are going to press the start, and as we're going to tell the user where we want the service to stop. By default, we select monitor replication lag. So we are going to give in this phase, Goldengate is going to try to catch up with the changes on the source in applications on the target. But you can select different phases to pause depending on your specific requirements. So now we can go and see the migration workflow details. Again, the initial load is going to happen first, which is export and import. But parallelly, Goldengate is going to be capturing the delta of the transaction. And when monitor replication lag completes, it means that Goldengate is on pair on the replication and application. Basically, at this moment, we can take one time, check the target, and decide when is the best time to do the switchover. Once we have completed those activities, which are external, the user is going to say, okay, everything is good. I can move on to the switchover. I want to do that now. Here is where basically we are completing all of the migration steps. We are getting rid during the cleanup of the connections with the Goldengate and cleaning the source environment. And then the switchover is basically completed. This is at a high level, the steps that you need to complete. You can see, I mean, you don't need to have knowledge of the underlying technologies. It's basically a guided mode. This is basically the end of the presentation, Marcos. Let me stop sharing here.
Thank you very much. That was great. There's still many questions coming in, so I think it's a good time for us. Guys, if you have more questions, please make sure to type them in Q&A, and we're going to be answering them now. If we cannot get to you or to your question today, I'm going to make sure to get that in an email, okay? So people asking about using Datapump to migrate, whether Datapump is available for migrating Exadata customer. Understanding?
Yes, I think it is. I mean, it's available, but it's not within the service. Okay. Not within our current capabilities.
All right. Then someone asking, can we migrate Exadata cloud service to autonomous data warehouse using DMS?
Yeah.
I think it should. Right. And then someone asking whether the import can, if you can increase the parallelism on the import in case of a large database.
Yes, that is those options are available for advanced scenarios. The user during the migration creation can select those.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Someone asking about Datapump for a large source database. Can you use that, or do you need to use RMAN?
I mean, depending on the user needs, RMAN is for physical migration. If you don't have any limitations on the source compatible with the target version, you probably need to go with physical migration. Whenever it's possible, I think physical is a good option. But if it is too big, I think case by case needs to be reviewed, basically.
Okay. Can you select which schemas to export, or does DMS just pick the schemas which are not?
No, absolutely. I mean, I just show like the high level, but during the migration creation, the user can go and select a different type of configurations. They can pick and choose what is going to be included or even excluded from the migration, right?
Okay. In the switchover phase, what exactly is being switched over?
So Goldengate is doing the replication. So basically, this phase is going to complete the process. If something is missing, it's going to complete the application of the Goldengate transactions. It's going to also wait for your database to be idle. So that is the best time when you can do the transitioning. Those are basically the high-level processes that are going to be run on the switchover. Just completing what is pending on the delta and applying to the target.
Right, and I think the idea of the switchover, that means, okay, now your application, you can switch your application to the new database,
Exactly.
right?
That is a manual step, but yeah, that is the idea behind that. Telling
Right,
the user we are on pair with the source and target, so you decide when you want to move from source to target.
Okay. A question: does DMS automatically sets up the Oracle Goldengate replication internally?
Yes. When you select or you don't want to include any Goldengate marketplace, and you go with the managed solution, yeah, then basically a DMS is gonna deploy everything for you, and it's gonna take care of replicates and everything for you. You don't even see the logs basically because that's a managed service. If you want to go for a more, you want to have access to the Goldengate instance, then you have the option to go and deploy the marketplace option.
Okay, another, what happens in the last step, the cleanup?
Cleanup, the service created a few connections. In this case, for example, with the managed Goldengate, we have some connections to the service. So everything is being cleaned up, basically. Whatever we created, it's going to be cleaned up.
Okay. And we're running out of time, guys. I sent the poll right now. We have 3 more questions that I want to get to, and then we're done. So the target database is open for read-write while the migration is in progress?
Yeah. And that's also the current recommendation for the source, because there are some elements that need to be included or written into the source. But of course, the migration is happening on the target. So yes, we need a read-write.
Does DMS check for data divergence internally?
I'm not sure if that I get the full question on that.
I guess maybe differences, right? The differences between.
Yes, at the moment we don't do validation. That is, like I mentioned before, if there is some extra step that needs to be done with another tool. In this case, Goldengate Veridata is there available.
Okay. And in case of failure, do we need to resume using dbaas? A rollback option available after switchover?
Well, the tool is going to let you resume whenever possible. We don't have rollback option at the moment. It's also in the backlog, but we don't have a date for that. So there are some other mechanisms where you can use maybe a rollback, but you have to do that manually.
Okay. All right. Does yeah, I think Marty's answering that one. When to use ZDM and when DMS? That's the other question.
Yeah, well, like I said, it depends on the use case. If you already have some knowledge on CDM, I would say go for that. If you have very limited resources and you want to jump quickly into the migration, give it a try to DMS. Behind the scenes, the same technology is running. So basically, it's deciding on your skill set, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. All right, guys. So thank you again. Thank you, Jorge. It was a great session. I think, thank you guys for joining again. We are going to, I'll put the links in chat again, just in case people did not have the opportunity to see them before. So I'm putting the links in chat. So make sure to come back for the recording, for the slides, right? The links in the slides that Jorge showed as well for us. And then, make sure to go back to the ADB Learning Lounge section here, where you're going to see all of the new sessions, right? The upcoming sessions, so that you can register and make sure that you get notified for those, okay? All right, so that's it. Again, thank you very much, Jorge. I really appreciate it. It was a great session. I'll leave this open for a few more minutes.
Thank you.
So just so people can, type their last question they might have. And then thank you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.